let's start with our session. So reason why I throw this session is because I'm lazy. You know why? Because I had like, I don't know how many people calling me and saying like, what is going on in Hong Kong? Should we set up a company in Hong Kong? Where do we set up business in? We set up business again in Hong Kong. We shut our company in Hong Kong 2 years ago. Should we come back? Are the protests finished? Blah, blah. So I said, you know what, guys, I cannot do this. I do a seminar and we will answer everything at once. At least I get this. Singapore is so expensive. We moved there 1.5 years ago. My kids going to school there. What is blah, 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 blah. So I know. Let's discuss it. So we try to make a practical guide, especially after the speech of the Prime Minister. And we really want to try to be as practical as possible and really give you insights on what is going on right now in Hong Kong at every level. Rules, regulation, recruitment, scientific effort, startups, and everything. All right, so we can be as quick as possible and give you snaps of what is going on. All right, let's go. Okay, there was a big Bloomberg. That was the most received WhatsApp in the last probably 2.5 years. The day that John Lee made the speech about the new regulation, rules, or trends that we are going on, that will be going on in Hong Kong, and everybody screenshot the Bloomberg article and sent me, including you, Derek. It was incredible. So I was like, wow. So we need to say something about this. But of course, it's still quite confusing. There is still there is a will to do something, but nothing actually written on stone, except for a few facts that we will discuss. Restriction will be out. There is no more hotel quarantine. I know that you guys in Hong Kong, they know that, you know that, but there are many people in Asia or in the world that still think that Hong Kong has quarantine because they are associated with China. So Hong Kong, no more hotel quarantine, right? Skilled talent, no more quota for it. So we are trying to reattract talents. We will discuss this a little bit later. And the new regulation, we heard and we have a feeling, we are working close to the immigration department because we processing many visa for people coming and work for foreign companies. There is a relaxation. Of course, it's not a total relaxation. You still need to show that whoever is coming and working in Hong Kong is skilled and talented and he has the right spot to be in Hong Kong. So it's not like an all-out mare magnum acceptance, but now we are not as picky as we were before, or is unfortunately Singapore being for a very matter of space as well. So there is an opening on this, and this is very, very important. Again, there is also a very big effort to invest on the visa for people coming from top universities in the effort to attract again brains. I like the image of the magnet and the brain going. Real estate support. This is something that has been like prominently asked. So you know that many people that are not permanent resident would like to buy a flat in Hong Kong, right? So they come and they say, hey, I want to buy a flat, but I'm not a permanent resident. So what is going to happen? They are not waiving the stamp duty, but the stamp duty that is going to be paid will be refunded the moment you get permanent residence, right? This is beautiful. And this is also very smart because it's a long-term commitment to our city. So if you come here, you want to invest, you want to deserve to be here, you buy, you pay the stamp duty, and then you get it back. So this is a point that I would like to make that is very interesting for us, right? One more thing that I would like to say is, in the previous slide is that there will be also an increase in they call it housing stock. So like increasing in housing, like building, in order to curb the pricing of the housing rather than playing just on the taxation component of the stamp duty. All right. Yes. This is exactly what I was telling you. The magnet that brings back the brain. We have been drained by talents of people fleeing Hong Kong during COVID. We are bringing them back. And I think the best witness for this would be both Derek and CEO Wong of the Science Park that we'll discuss later. But Hong Kong is establishing a fund to attract companies to set up operations here. And with the support of our fantastic institution, I don't want to be propagandist. I do very much truly believe, and I know Albert in person, and I always joke saying that he's the most dynamic CEO of a public institution. Not just because he's a runner, but because I can really see the effort of actively bringing companies here, supporting the access to the Greater Bay Area. And we are waiting for the moment where we can cross the border, because I know that Science Park has shuttle bus going straight away to Shenzhen, to the Silicon Valley of Asia. So this is not fiction, this is true. And if you go and visit Science Park, any one of you attending, you will see that this is not fiction. And again, the best product of all this ecosystem is the Pretty Daisy there that created a fantastic startup thanks to the Hong Kong infrastructure. So bringing back talent is the most important. Last is Chris, the CEO and founder of ReThink Hong Kong. Again, so corporates and social responsibility, environmental matters. Hong Kong is becoming a great role in Asia, the forefront. And again, the most innovative companies in the environmental space are setting up in here, and they are making big efforts to play center stage on this. So 30 billion are set aside to establish and support companies coming. This means that it will create an environment of forward thinkers, of tech companies that will come here, and this will bring benefits to all Hong Kong in general. Think about the amount of the money. I don't want to make a shallow statement, 30 billion Hong Kong dollars set aside. No, this is a lot of money that Hong Kong is ready to put on paper, right, on the field and activate to attract talents, to pay those people. That's great. And we thought it was all gloom and doom. It's not. Okay, other policies. Innovation and fintech industry. I would really like to point on the last point, so to speak. Family offices. Why I like fintech and family offices. So let's try to be concise. Family offices are those rich people that invest in companies. Okay, just expressed in a very general term. VC, PE, but the family offices are, I would say, the more dynamic because they are smaller in size, so they can invest more actively and rapidly. Okay, and this is what we need to create the humus of a beautiful tech financial hub. And the fintech industry, the other side, it's in Hong Kong what it created unicorns, what is growing the most with. Virtual banks that we'll discuss later are becoming rule in Hong Kong. Crypto, blockchain, look at Hex, is one of the finest example of fiduciary company for crypto related assets. Now, crypto is no more like in the center stage, but we'll come back. It's just a matter of time. We are through a crypto winter. I'm not offering financial advice, but I know that we've been through 2 crypto winters already. And Hong Kong needs to be ready to get things back once things will restart. Because 1 year ago, everybody was popping champagne with Bitcoins. Now everybody's crying. Environment. Oh, here is something that is very dear to our friend Chris. So, Chris, of all these points, can I let you speak and make it a little bit interactive? Which one, if you can pick three, are the most interesting to be drawn attention on?
Hi, everyone. I think the most exciting on there is the legislations requiring housing estates to collect separated recyclables. That's pushing the responsibility back down to the consumer, to the everyday public. I think we're all probably agreed that business has to lead, business has to drive the agenda and drive policy change. But at the end of the day, if the 7.5 million inhabitants of Hong Kong do not get on board and do not commit and do not contribute towards a cleaner, greener, more sustainable, more inhabitable Hong Kong, then there's no point in any policy change. There's no point in any of the corporates pushing ahead with their ESG or CSR commitments. So I think the government's acknowledgement and dissemination of that responsibility back towards the public, I think, is exciting. But then from a technology perspective, I think the commitment to a new generation for electric taxis, the exploration of hydrogen alternatives for the transport system, and electrification as well. I mean, we were really excited to three weeks ago. We were very lucky to borrow the double-decker electric bus from Bravo. They lent it to us for the evening, and we shuttled about 250 VIPs from the convention center to a networking event on an electric double-decker bus. I know that they're not fully rolled out yet, and I know we've also got hydrogen tests coming. But I think that the sentiment from the new Secretary for the Environment are positive, and we've also seen some acceleration of policy already happened in the last couple of weeks. So. Yeah, exciting, and I'll share more when it's my turn.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, next slide. I cannot fight against the expert here. So, okay, let's go fast on this. We know already that still companies can enjoy the 100% loan guarantee that has been extended. I'll tell you just one number. It takes less than 3 weeks if you have all papers in order to get access to this money. This is the only thing you need to remember. It's not lengthy, it's not bureaucratic. If you want, you get it. Of course, you need to show that you have a little bit of a financial history, but this is money, and it's money on the table that is ready, that is available, and that the banks can give, right? Innovation and technology, again, I don't want to repeat myself. There is a lot of money ready to be deployed. Albert will share a little bit more on this a little bit later, but money is there, and innovation is there to be pumped. Financial services. So I was talking about the GBA, and think about a financial hub that is not just Hong Kong, but is Hong Kong and the whole Greater Bay Area. Think about Hong Kong as the safe, as the financial hub for companies that operate in the Greater Bay Area. So typically, Hong Kong has been great market for IPOs, right? For funding. So think about putting together the manufacturing. Think about putting together everything that is more technical with a financial hub that can really strongly contribute to this. What is happening? This is basically the real Silicon Valley in a making. More, because basically you are financing finally the operation. So, and this is not far-fetched. This is real. Anyone, FDIs coming back because they have financial support, real, actual, non-bureaucratic financial support to finance operations down in the GBA. All right, I can't wait that we open the border. Industry, tourism, investment, again, there will be a lot of support on this. Again, you can read it easily in your presentation later. Yes, this is important. There is flexibility for retail shops. They have been suffering a lot. They call it moratorium, where there will be flexibility, terms and condition applies for companies that cannot afford at the present stage to pay rent, right? So this is truly supportive for retail companies. I've been representing many retail companies. I'm Italian, and I happen to be an accountant in Hong Kong. So you can imagine that many my Italian clients have been suffering very much through this retail stage, but the support in the measure really helped them, because, as you know, rental is always like one of the most important parts. The deductions, now we go to the tax deduction. The ceiling is 100,000, and you will have domestic rental expenses. You will see in your next tax return. This is quite important as well. Okay, very quickly on a guide, business guide in Hong Kong, how to set up companies. Setting up a company in Hong Kong, currently as today, it's probably the easiest and most inexpensive place in the planet. And I'm real sure to make this statement, and I can answer any question on this. And I explain you why. COVID has deeply accelerated digital company setup, while security, or like digital security, is making sure that those people that can set up a company digitally or remotely, they're not scammed, right? I want to rephrase. This is very technical, but I'll try to make it as easy as possible. So back in the days, you remember that they were saying, oh, opening a company in Hong Kong and a bank account in Hong Kong is a nightmare. You remember that, right? When nobody was coming to open companies in Hong Kong because the bank account was difficult, right? Fine. Now, COVID hit. So we needed to reinvent ourselves and make sure that everything can be done remotely. And today, I'm proud to say that companies, 95% of the companies that we are setting up us as service provider, they're all remote. But how do I make sure that these people that are setting up companies remotely, they're not scammed? How do I keep a high level of compliance? How do I make sure that there is no phishing, fraud? Like I'm at the anti-terroristic. They are not dealing drugs or doing this, because through technology, through biometrics, through many other very sophisticated ways, that AI, for example, we can ensure that identities of investor founders, it's legitimate, even if they are remotely there, even if they are out, because there are many people that couldn't be back in Hong Kong because of COVID. Daisy, you're one of those, and you could still run your company remotely, and you are back now in Hong Kong. We are happy about this. That's another interesting part, the opening of the bank account. Sam couldn't make it today. He was here last time, of Currency. Very good friend. I know the founder of Currency since day one. I remember having a chat with them, with Riccardo, one night at the gala dinner with the Italian Chamber. And, people didn't take him seriously 5 years ago, saying he would do online opening or digital banking possible. I tell you that out of 10 incorporation today, 8, they use either Currency, Statris, or other forms. There are many right now. So, okay, on tax, taxation and corporate rates. I don't want to bother you on this, but I want to tell you one thing. You know what is the OECD? The OECD is the big thing on us that takes care of taxation of countries around the world, right? So say, for example, the tax rules, okay? Everything has dramatically changed, okay, during the COVID times, because first of all, many people couldn't travel back and forth to Hong Kong. So where is your taxation? Your taxation usually is where your habitual abode is. But what if you're stuck out? Things change, right? So the OECD has been very giving and forgiving, I would say. And the ruling in Hong Kong and the cases that we're seeing in the taxing department in Hong Kong as well. There is another thing. Next year, we will see the advent of a new tax regulation, right? which is taxation of passive income. Because Hong Kong, that has always been considered a little bit of a tax fiscal heaven, a tax heaven, okay, has scared multinationals away, saying if I set up my headquarters in Asia, right? These are technical things, guys, that you probably don't see now, but you will see later. You will see probably in 3 years from now. Multinationals were scared to set up the companies in Hong Kong because Hong Kong is considered low taxation. So say, for example, an Italian company that needs to choose between, I don't know, China, Shanghai, and Hong Kong, they sometimes go to Shanghai because they are not considered tax haven, swallowing all the difficulties of setting up a WOFI, all right? So now, Hong Kong government responded after it was put in the gray list of the European Union countries, doing and putting taxation on passive incomes coming from multinationals, meaning that those passive incomes like dividends and capital gains that before they were free of charge, like free of taxes, now they will be taxed. Okay, you are taxing dividends of a multinational. They might seem counterintuitive, and people will say, no, I'm not going. But actually, it's not. People will pay little taxes. Finally, companies will be allowed to set up a holding company in Asia without the prejudice of their home tax authority. So the Italian tax authority will not ask and challenge, why did you set up in Hong Kong? You got my point, right? So basically, by imposing a little tax on passive income, Hong Kong is attracting more companies because now it won't be considered a blacklisted country anymore. I think it's a beautiful and smart and elegant move to gain taxes, but also gain people, to gain companies to come back. All right. So I know as a tax accountant, I get very excited about these little things, and it's probably not the most exciting thing, but as an overall fact, what you should really remember of this is companies are flocking back because of a general effort. Okay. Now, I don't speak anymore, and I will leave the stage to somebody more interesting than I am, and is setting the pace of the city to a more environmental, a more, I would say, responsible under the corporate and social responsibility profile. And Chris, you can wear your hat and be on stage, on the virtual stage. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thanks for the opportunity just to tell you a little bit about ReThink and what we've been doing. Just want to touch on one point from Stefano. As someone who tried to set up a business in Hong Kong on their own without any advice, it's not always that easy. So anyone out there who's looking to start up a business, please ask for help. Don't make the mistakes that I did. But anyway, forget about those. Onwards and upwards. So
we rescued you, Chris. Don't worry.
You did rescue me, yeah. So I'm the founder of ReThink Hong Kong, and after 16 years of running large-scale business events around the world, I wanted a change of direction. I wanted to make a positive contribution towards a city that I am so proud to call home, but also a city that I want my family to be able to enjoy into the future, and to have a healthy and an enjoyable experience living in Hong Kong. And so I took those 16 years of experience and designed an event that was, that is, or has the objective of helping businesses in Hong Kong to fast track their transition towards a more sustainable future, and contribute towards a more enriched, more beautiful, more equitable city for everyone to live in. So this October, just 3 weeks ago, we hosted the 3rd edition of ReThink Hong Kong. So if you work that out, that means that we had the 1st edition in 2020. And if you remember, 2020 was a bit of a tricky time for all businesses to navigate. But I think that the growth that we've experienced in the last 3 years really demonstrates the appetite or the increasing appetite for businesses in Hong Kong to start to understand the challenges and the opportunities that sustainable transformation presents for them. So if you'll just bear with me for a few minutes, I'll talk you through what we've done on ReThink, the impact we've helped facilitate, and the ambition that we have to really make a difference. So the event 3 weeks ago was at the Convention Centre in Wan Chai. We had just over 3,300 unique delegates coming to the event, representing 1,235 organizations, at a total attendance of 4,700 people. This is still capped because of COVID. We still weren't allowed to offer anyone a drink of water or a cup of coffee or a bowl of noodles. So still very frustrating for event organizers, even though the general restrictions in Hong Kong are reducing. Hopefully this slide here demonstrates the growth in appetite for not just our event, but I think information around sustainability and sustainable business. So all of these events were operated in COVID times. My event is a COVID baby. So back in 2020, we had 427 delegates. And then a few weeks ago, we had 3,342. And, you know, I mean, I know I'm biased, but I've been working on large scale events for 20 years now. And the buzz and the interest and the engagement and the passion that businesses in Hong Kong are now demonstrating for a more sustainable future is tangible, it's real, and hopefully the statistics on the screen here demonstrate that. But when setting up this event, and again, having been running events, large events for a long time, and large events are notoriously unsustainable, they create a lot of waste. I wanted to make sure that we had a positive impact. So hosting a large event, hosting a lot of delegates, but at the same time having a positive impact on Hong Kong. And so we've estimated that the event will consume about 131 tons of CO2. That is from the event operations, from attendee travel, the overheads of my business for a year. And we wanted a way to be able to sequester that carbon, to offset that carbon. Over the past couple of years, we've done our offset in overseas projects, so in Tanzania and Indonesia. But we're now so excited to be able to partner with a Hong Kong organization and a Hong Kong project called Taxation. So they have around 6.5 million square foot of land in Hong Kong that they've either rented or borrowed. We are sponsoring 400,000 square foot of that for the next 3 or 4 years, basically until we're able to offset the carbon from our event. So we're striving to be a carbon neutral event. We will be the only event in the convention center that offsets through a Hong Kong project. And the benefits of doing that is that not only are we carbon neutral, but we're also benefiting the Hong Kong environment. We're benefiting the air quality, benefiting the soil quality. We're creating jobs for the local community, prioritizing disadvantaged groups. As you can see here, we've already broken ground up in Santin, and over the coming months, we'll have we'll take our key stakeholders out to the site and actually show them where the bamboo is being planted. And over the next 3 to 4 years, that bamboo will grow. It will have a positive impact on Hong Kong. It will create jobs in local communities. Aside to that, we want to make sure that we're having a positive social impact. So all the delegate fees from our event get collected and get donated to a charity partner each year. So this year we supported Hands On Hong Kong. We collected up all the delegate fees, we paid our registration company, and then all the balance that's left over gets donated. So we don't make any profit at all from the delegates that attend the event. And the Hands On Hong Kong created a project called ReThink Plastics. So this is obviously helping to sort plastics, helping to educate corporate volunteers, but also paying a fair and decent wage to 7 elderly friends, so they have some meaningful work, and also 1,000 volunteers empowered to recycle locally through the Green Community Projects. So this is an event about business transformation, but at the same time, we want to make sure we have a positive impact on a city that we really love. In terms of our delegates, these are kind of self-explanatory, pretty normal statistics for an event. But this event is being very well received. We're getting high quality delegates, not just sustainability practitioners. We're also getting C-suite and heads of department. And these are the guys that are now responsible for researching and resourcing the strategies that are going to transform their business over the next decade. We had 205, so we have two parts to the event. We have a conference program with about 140 conference sessions, 447 speakers. It's the most comprehensive sustainable business program in Hong Kong. And alongside that, we have a solutions expo. So we had 205 companies, increased from 135 last year. And already our exhibitors are reporting a good ROI on their participation. And that's because they're meeting people who can make the decisions and they can make investments in sustainable products, services, and solutions. Next year, we're back, bigger, better. I've managed finally to secure hall number 1 at the convention center. That's the ground floor hall, kind of the premier hall. Expanding the Solutions Expo, increasing the number of attendees, increasing the impact. These are some of the new features that we'll have. Focusing a brand new theatre, focusing on innovation and technology, focusing on people and business purpose, and sustainable cities. How do we really push Hong Kong forward to be not just a smart city, but a sustainable city? And at the bottom there, I put the central networking bar. I mean, I really hope that we can do that. Hopefully, after 4 years, we'll actually be able to share a drink and have some hospitality at the event. So that's ReThink Hong Kong. And what we're trying to do is help businesses in Hong Kong accelerate change towards a more sustainable future. Thank you for listening.
Okay, our next speaker is going to be Albert Wong, who's the CEO at HKSTP. So I'm going to pass the baton on to you, Albert.
So I will spend a few minutes talking about why you want to come to Hong Kong. And I'm the CEO of the Hong Kong Science Park, which is a quasi-government organization to help drive technology innovation for the future of Hong Kong. Although I would admit that when you think about Hong Kong, most people do not think about Hong Kong as a technology hub. And I would not be surprised if you think that way, because Hong Kong has always been a financial hub rather than a technology hub. But we have a lot of reasons why we could do that. So a number of things that is shown on this slide. Very simple tax system, which I'm sure Stefano would be able to explain that. We have a very competitive economy. And I think the obvious one is about intellectual property protection. You want to do business in China, and Hong Kong Hong Kong follows common law. And we have been practicing rule of law for a very long time. So this is one of the trust factors. And other things including strategic locations, infrastructure, communications, transportation, everything. I think people who have been in Hong Kong will know that the infrastructure, the airport, everything is very well organized. I once, before the lockdown, everything, I could just land in Hong Kong, and within 45 minutes, I could be sitting in my office, which I don't think you can do in LaGuardia or JFK. Right? I don't think you can do it in Heathrow or Rome. But 45 minutes to 1 hour, you can do that. And in terms of fundraising, we are the 3rd largest financial center in the world after New York and London. And sometimes we'll be competing with other places like Shanghai, Singapore, but we have always been number 3. And in terms of biotech fundraising, we are the number 1 in the world number 2. And we're showing some numbers here that 115 billion Hong Kong dollars has been raised in terms of biotech companies. This is called 18A, which is a pre-revenue IPO. If you are in a biotech businesses and you do not have revenue, you can still list in Hong Kong. This is what they call an 18A, a special listing in Hong Kong. So if you are worth 1.5 billion Hong Kong dollars, and even if you do not have revenue, forget about profit, you can still apply for listing in Hong Kong. So this is a new thing for the past 2 years, and it has attracted a lot of investments in Hong Kong in biotech. Also, I mean, I'm repeating it in terms of fundraising. We have been doing a lot of IPOs in Hong Kong. This is a number of fund being raised in the exchange in Hong Kong, almost 400 billion Hong Kong dollars, with about 50 billion US dollars. We are the largest fundraising hub in Asia. Next page, please. Now, I'm just summarizing some of the things we talk about in terms of biotech fundraising, innovation powerhouse. And I'm talking about this because it is written in the China's 14th five-year plan, which is, I'm sure you heard about that, the China Communist Party has a 5-year plan. In the 14th 5-year plan is written that it is a national strategy that Hong Kong will become the international hub for innovation technology for the country. International hub for innovation technologies. And we are the only city in China that is called the international hub of innovation technology. Shanghai, Shenzhen are the hubs, but not the international. We are the only one. It's written in its 14th 5-year plan. And this is the science park that I run. And you can see at my back, this is the golden egg. This is where we nurture a number of startups. Today, we've been around 20 years. Today, we have over 18,000 people working here. Of the 18,000, 12,000 of them are research and development. This is a very small place, about 0.2 square kilometer of space, with about 4 million square feet, 400,000 square meters of floor space. But we host over 1,000 companies from 22 different countries, 12,000 R&D in one small place. So this is a kind of an ecosystem with the biggest concentration of research and development in Hong Kong. Now, this is a summary of what we do. We call it HKSTP, Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks. This is what we run, about 400,000 square meters of space, 1,100 companies, 11,000 R&D worker, and we have a number of unicorn coming out from here. I'm sure you heard about SenseSign, which is a homegrown, this company started in 2014 in Science Park as a startup. And the company is now worth probably $25 billion. They do AI in terms of facial recognition and other AI stuff. And there are other companies such as Lala Move, which is now worth more than $10 billion. Smartmore, this is another crazy company. This is an AI company that started in Chinese University, which is next door to us. The company was started in 2020, in the Chinese New Year. 2020, just 2 years ago. And the company is now worth about $2 billion. So within 2 years, the company grew from a startup into a billion-dollar company. What they do is that they base the technology on some very hardcore AI algorithm, but they apply it in industrial applications, in manufacturing, supply chain, and that is why they have a lot of growth in China in the industrialization. On the bottom left, the 750 and 900. This is the number of companies that are in our incubation program. When we talk about incubation program, it means that anyone who wants to start a company, we will help you with starting a company or product development, finding investors, finding customers, incubate you, help you from being a zero to a grown company. So this is an incubation program that we run. We now have more than 700 companies in our incubation, learning how to do businesses. So if you're interested in investing in this company or starting your own company in Hong Kong, we will help you do that. Now, on the bottom number, 220 projects, $72.5 billion. This is the kind of VC venture capital investment that has happened in Hong Kong, in Science Park alone, since 2018. In the past 4 or 5 years, the kind of fundraising that happened here is about 72 billion Hong Kong dollars. This is roughly 1 day of trading in the Hong Kong exchange. But considering the early stage VC investment, those are very small ticket items. This is a big development. And on the bottom right, this is what I run. We have a investment fund. I'm a VC of roughly $20 million US, $200 million US, 1.4 billion Hong Kong dollars. And what I will do is a matching fund. What I will do will be invest in companies if someone else is investing. So I'm a matching fund. The leverage so far has been 16 times. In other words, if I invest $1, I'll bring in $16. So we got this ecosystem of space, people, labs, investment, incubation to help company grow, technology company grow in Hong Kong.
Sorry, can I raise my hand? Because
Go ahead.
Thank you for going super fast, but you touch a very critical point. And the matching fund is absolutely fantastic. The matching fund means that basically the public and the private are cooperating. So say there is a startup that is particularly interesting, that is science or tech based, all right? And they find one investor, but this investor is not enough. But if they show that this investor is on, Science Park, boom, puts the rest of the money. This is
well, of course, we will do our due diligence, but we have money to invest up to $1 million US. We are not so much about investing to make money, but to help you do fundraising.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point, and this is why I really want to any attendant of the webinar to really understand this, because in the attendees I know that they are startups right now, they are fundraising, so evaluate this option. Right? Sorry.
Yeah.
I shut
No,
this
on this note, Stefano, I want to also add another thing. You talk about funding. I'm sure you would be looking at that too. What I talked about this 16 times is the investment funding. But other than the investment funding, there is just a thing called the ITF, Innovation Technology Funding, which is a grant by the government. What it is a research and development funding that you can apply on your research and development project that is given by the Hong Kong government. Roughly is that if you want to do a $10 research and development project, all you need to do is to pay $4. The $6 will be paid by the government, of course, based on reimbursement. And the government will not have anything to do with intellectual properties. Objective is to bring more research and development into Hong Kong. And I will emphasize research and development, not just research in publication, but research and development, meaning you will have a commercialization or product development kind of things. So it's roughly 40% of the project is all you need to prepare. And the government will give you the 60%. But of course, government money are complicated, convoluted process, but the money's on the table. There's a lot of companies in Hong Kong who would be using this kind of money to develop their research and development projects. So if you have good technology you want to bring to Hong Kong, there will be all kinds of funding to help you land those things in Hong Kong. And again, I emphasize that the government will not have any claim on the intellectual properties. Those are grants. But convoluted paperwork given, but money's on the table. All right, so keep that in mind. Okay. Now the next page talk about the industrial park. All right. This is also important. This is about land. If you are looking at having a piece of land to manufacture in Hong Kong, although I understand most people may not think about it, there are land available. There are land resources available in Hong Kong, and this is the history. From the 60s, the government has marked out as about 3 square kilometers of space to let factories build their own factory, manufacturers build their own factories. And you can use the land up to 50 years, up to 2047. And the land will be given to you at a very, very low price, at about 20 to 30% of market price. But you have to do manufacturing. You have to do specific work. And of course, going through this, it will be a complicated process, but there are land available if you want to bring your manufacturing to Hong Kong. Again, I want to just let you know this is something you should think about. And you can talk to me if you have really big plan of bringing a pharmaceutical company to Hong Kong, a electronic company to Hong Kong. We will help you do that. Okay. A lot of people will think that Hong Kong is small. Of course, if you want to bring in a big foundry, we don't have that space. But if you want to do a manufacturing plan, like doing food manufacturing, we will help you do that. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And I'm sure you'll find Stefano to connect with me if you have big ideas of setting up factories in Hong Kong. This is the idea of this page. All right, next page. This would be about the Greater Bay Area. I'm sure you heard about that. The 8 cities in China, plus Hong Kong and Macau. Well, Hong Kong itself is only 7 million in population, a small market. But if you, all of a sudden you go across the border and you're talking about 86 million in population. It's a huge, huge market, and 1.7 trillion in GDP. So this is where you can set up in Hong Kong and you can look at a huge market. And actually you should look beyond this 86 million because you got 1.4 billion in China. So this is a gateway. Hong Kong is a gateway to explore the huge market while you're living in a Western society like Hong Kong. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people stay in Hong Kong, because you have a Western life, but you will be sitting next door to China. Okay, so this is another thing I want you to keep in mind. This is a government-funded project. The government teed up about 10 billion Hong Kong dollars to bring in 28 world-class research centers in AI and healthcare technologies. And these are the universities that are doing research and development in Hong Kong in the Science Park. they are all doing research and development, not just publications, in the areas of AI and healthcare. And these are all very early stage, the best scientists in the world. And these are opportunity for investment or commercialization and other things. So this is another area that you may want to keep in mind, because this is also another reason why Hong Kong is different than Shenzhen or Greater Bay Area. It's because we have 4 universities that are ranked top 50 in the world. Okay, you have none in Guangdong. So you want to do solid science, basic research. This is the place where you can connect with the university. That's why we have companies like Sensine, who is connected with the Chinese University in AI and other biomedical research and development. So I think Stefano and everybody, I'm going through this very quickly because there's a lot of information, but there's a lot of things that I'm sure you'll come back with a lot of questions. And Stefano and I talk to each other all the time. You can send in questions or send me questions and we can follow up. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, CEO. It's always good to have you, full of energy. And next, if we talk about energy, one of the person, and I'll tell you, there is a little personal note on this. One person that energizes me a lot, and this is one of the beautiful things about being in Hong Kong, is that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I wish I can spend more time with my friend Derek. He's positive. He's a human battery charger. And he's the real finest product, I would say, of what you can find as an entrepreneur in Hong Kong. And he will give you a little bit of an idea of what he's seeing. He can be, I would say, the thermometer of what is happening in the job market in Hong Kong, thanks to his experience. And I always remember to max out, go maximum level.
And we have the
Derek,
CGP group on the side here. And I'm trying to hide my balding, receding hairline here a little bit, you know. Well, thanks, Stefano. The feeling is mutual for sure, you know. I didn't set up a slide on purpose because, you know, I want to talk straight from my heart really about, as somebody who, you know, I look like a foreigner, but, you know, I told my family when I die I want to be buried in Hong Kong. You know, I made that part of my will. I said bury me in Hong Kong because I feel more at home in Hong Kong than I do anywhere else, you know. I'll give you a little bit of a background on my company, just so you know who we are. It's CGP Group. We started off from zero 10 years ago. We just had our 10-year anniversary. We now have thousands of staff. Morgan Stanley own 40% of our company. We have just completed our pre-IPO audit. So we are ready to IPO when the market is ready. We're holding off right now for this moment in time. Now I have business in Dubai. I've got business in Japan. I've got business in Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, in nearly every tier 1 and tier 2 city in China. I was just invited to present at the China International 5th Expo. I did a video recording yesterday for them. So, you know, I suppose I have a very good gauge of what's happening in Asia in general when it comes to talent, right? And I've seen many companies leave Hong Kong, and many friends of mine leave Hong Kong and go to the likes of Singapore and so on and so forth. And they all ring me with the same thing going, I can't get the skills in whatever city it may be, you know. And the only thing that's been putting people off Hong Kong has been the quarantine. You take away the quarantine, Hong Kong just bounces back. You know, you walk around the streets of Hong Kong right now, it's like a different city to what it was 6 months ago. Everything's back again. And when quarantine completely goes away, I feel everything will be fine. My company on its own has grown, in Hong Kong alone, in the past 12 months, has grown 99% in revenue and operating profit, operating margin, right? There's not many cities in the world. For all the bad, you know, press that Hong Kong gets, how can a company grow 99%? I have 400 staff in Hong Kong. You know, I was able to set up a consultancy firm in Hong Kong using AI technology, and now that has 300 staff alone. And that competes with the big consulting firms. Like in some of the insurance firms, we're number 1 through using AI technology and their technologies. If you ask me, Why do I stay here and I don't live in Dubai? I have a beautiful big apartment in Dubai. You know, I have a very good business there. I have the outsourcing license in Internet City. It makes a lot of money. I have a great life in Dubai. Why do I not choose to live there? Because I love Hong Kong, and I think the opportunity is in Hong Kong when you connect it up with the Greater Bay region. You know, Hong Kong is a great city on its own, but you have to be looking 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Where's it going to be? As an investor, do I think about yesterday or the day before when the markets were dropping? No, I couldn't care less. I said to my friends who are going, oh, Derek, the Hang Seng Index is down 4.4%. Well, it doesn't matter. What's it going to be 20 years from now? Go through history. This is Asia's time, and I believe that it's just been a little bit of a bubble in Hong Kong, and it's, you know, been handled well in some ways and bad in other ways. But I believe, and you know, you record this call and you can replay it in a year's time. I believe that people who left Hong Kong over the past year will want to come back here because it's such a great place for business. Why else would I be here? I'm sitting in Chung Kong building. I walk outside on the Queen's Road. It's one of the most amazing cities in the world. To me, it's the most amazing city in the world. Companies are still growing here. There's no real shortage of talent in Hong Kong. Okay, people have a bad impression of it because of the bad news in the media. But as soon as they land here, they go, oh, what's all the bad news about? This place is such a great city. You know, and you talk about Lala Move. I know Shing, who founded Lala Move, because he set up in the room next door to me when I set up CGP, and one of my friends was an investor in it. You know, he had 1 million drivers in mainland China. He set up in Hong Kong, and he had 1 million drivers in mainland China. I was setting up in a tiny room in Hong Kong. This was 3 years ago. He probably has 2 million now. You know, I think he's valued at billions of dollars. What other city in the world can you set up a business and have access to? Just take the Greater Bay region, for example. Have access to 73 million people. There's nowhere else. Like, Singapore is a great city. I've read all Lee Kuan Yew's books. You know, a lot of respect for Singapore. But it ain't no Hong Kong. You can't just jump on a train and in 20 minutes be in, you know, Shenzhen and doing business over. I have a home in Shenzhen. You know, I like hanging out there. It's a great city. I like going to Beijing. I like going to Shanghai. All of this quarantine stuff and virus stuff will go away at some stage. And Hong Kong is just going to go on an upward trajectory. Now, Hong Kong has been great for me because rental costs have went down. Property prices have went down. Actually, costs of labor has went up in some ways because there has been a little bit of a talent shortage in some ways. But to me, looking at all of our offices, and we're all over Asia, right? We're all over China. We're like probably number 2 largest firm in China in what we do. I just went through our results this morning in all of our offices. Hong Kong is leading the way in nearly every figure. In terms of profitability, in terms of revenue growth, in terms of low staff turnover, you know, and that's across the whole of Asia and China. You know, I'm saying this as a foreigner. I consider myself, they call me Chirish, Chinese Irish in my company. They say, Derek, you think like a Chinese person, you're not really Irish. And I'm saying as somebody who, you know, has a white face, you know, I love Hong Kong and I want to be buried here when I die. That'll tell you how much I love the place and I don't want to leave it, even though I could leave it. I think there's huge opportunity here. And when everyone was leaving, I said, you should stay. Because the more people that leave, the more opportunity for you. You should stay when everybody else is leaving. You know, number 1 rule is don't be in a saturated marketplace. You know? So the more people that left, I doubled my company. So if Hong Kong is so bad, how can I double my company in the past 12 months? If everything's so bad. I'll double my profits. You know? So in general, I feel Hong Kong is one of the best places in the world to be right now. I was on the beach this morning. People don't understand this about Hong Kong. I was on the beach, a beautiful beach, had a nice swim. Then I come to my nice office in Chung Kong Center. Within 20 minutes, I'm on a beach. Then I'm in the CBD. There's no other city in the world that's like that. I've lived in Sydney. You know, I've been over Singapore a lot. I like Singapore a lot too. But I love Hong Kong. Hong Kong has the Hong Kong DNA. The Hong Kongers. When the protests happened, when the virus kicked in, Hong Kongers just go into fight mode. They're fighters. They make things happen. And there's no other city. I don't think there's any other city in the world, if you look throughout history, that is resilient as Hong Kong. It just bounces back all the time. Always bounces back. But the reason I'm here, and I could be anywhere in the world, I don't have to be here, it's because it's great for business. It's great for getting talent. Hong Kongers are great people, great workers. All my companies, nearly all Hong Kongers and mainland Chinese. Amazing people. You know, so I think the brand that Hong Kong has gotten over the past 12, 24 months, whatever, it's kind of unfair. But I believe people have short memories. So 12 months time from now, I believe everyone is going to be wanting to enter Hong Kong. Because you see the new chief executive, just announced new policy after new policy after new policy, right? Just straight away, bang, 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 bang. You have the Politburo meeting that just happened, and I read an article that said that you can be guaranteed their number one agenda is the economy. You know, people don't believe that, you know, China is going down. Look at history. It's like that. But I believe it's like that, and it's now China's time, and Hong Kong is part of Greater China. And the sooner it integrates with the Greater Bay Area for business people, I feel it's an amazing opportunity. How else can you have access to 72 million people within like 20 minutes? I can be on a train to Shenzhen. I can be up in Guangzhou within an hour. You know, I can be in Dongguan. You know, I can be up to Beijing, up to Shanghai. There's just so much business here. If I'm in Singapore, I'm in Singapore. That's it. I've got Malaysia. It's totally different country. You know, so when the governments are working together the way they are now, and I see the new policies being announced, it's made me very confident. So I think it's such a, I think anyone who doesn't set up here will be kicking themselves in the future, you know. I don't know about what you think, Stefano. You've lived here for a long time, and obviously I think you're over in Thailand. You come back next week. What's your opinion, if you don't mind me asking?
My opinion or Daisy's opinion?
Get Daisy's opinion, yeah.
Yeah, so
right.
I'm not from Hong Kong, you know. So yeah, so I a little background about myself. So I basically am from mainland China, and my
I didn't
co-founder.
make a presentation, Daisy. I want to make a presentation of you because I'm very proud to present you.
Yeah.
We all talked about technology, startups, environment, financing, recruitment, and I think if I need to think of a womanpreneur, startupper, daughter of the Hong Kong environment, I would think of her. She's energetic, innovative. She's not from Hong Kong, but she came to Hong Kong despite being Chinese. And she set up a successful firm that is probably going to be the next unicorn. That's why I'm trying to be friends with her. Because she will invite me to the fancy party. Yeah! And she's a real beast in terms of work ethic. So, again, can you please, besides answering Derek's question, then tell us what have been your steps toward, I don't want to call it success, I don't want to jinx it, but you are still successful to me. It doesn't matter how financially successful you will be. To me, you already made something that is unachievable for a huge amount of people. So let us know the steps that you took and how Hong Kong helped you. I mean, we're not, again, I don't want to do the propaganda of Hong Kong, but effectively, what Hong Kong brought to you.
Sure, just being very practical speaking, you know, I think a lot of audience here are thinking or already as like me as well, you know, as an entrepreneur. So a little bit introduction about the company that I'm building. Book Air Freight is a online platform. So we help e-commerce companies, mainly D2C brands, shipping their goods from the factories in Asia, including China, Indonesia, Thailand, India, to their warehouses in US, Australia, Europe, you know, you name it. So right now we cover roughly about 56 countries, and we have around 300 plus, you know, shipping routes going on. So the reason why we choose Hong Kong as a place to start our own business, as Stefano was just introducing, that I'm not from Hong Kong. My co-founder, he's a tech guy. So my CTO, he's actually based in Silicon Valley. He used to work for Dropbox. He's American. So why a Chinese and American choose Hong Kong as a place to set up their company? Couple reasons, you know. The first thing, I think everybody basically already covered that the process to setting up a company in Hong Kong is very, very easy. You basically didn't even need to show up in person, you know. So as an entrepreneur, you'd rather spend your time and efforts to building your company rather than the paperwork, to be honest, right? And another thing, like corporate tax is also very, as you know, Stefano was saying, that is the lowest, you know, compared with one of the thing. This is something that I've learned this year. So this year we did we really put up a fight, even though during the global recessions that our business gross profit grows at least 150% this year. But we're still wanted to keep more cash in the bank and make the business going on. And so this is my first time interacting with the IRD in Hong Kong, and unlike the IRDs in the States, so they are really, the Hong Kong IRDs are really reasonable and understandable. If you were presenting them the case, so in the end, we managed to pay our corporate income tax installments, so that really helped us in terms putting more capitals in the operation, keep the business going on. So I think when you trying to setting up your company in a place that the downtime is something that really you need to think about, right? Place like Hong Kong really helps us, in terms for fundraising. There's a lot of capitals. Hong Kong is actually, I think, considered as has the most number of millionaires, live in the city. I think there's a report in Bloomberg or somewhere like that. And their science park, Albert was just to talk about, right? Like the Hong Kong Science Park also give a lot of support. We are from another program, Cyberport, also have a lot of like government supports, free money, as long as you present a good case, and it's still going to be, sort of presentation, but the chances that you get the government support is pretty high if you have a pretty good business. So that's pretty much from my side of the story. Hong Kong's being, it's been good, and very practical for entrepreneur for sure.
I can also, I would like to add one thing. Thank you for taking the part of the Hong Kong tax department. Usually I'm the one that try to explain this. So
I was about to say.
the you experience is that you can make you can pay your taxes in installment. Very romantic, Daisy. I would have said something like, I had some amazing mentors and I met some amazing networking people in Hong Kong, like yourself, Stefano, rather than saying, I pay my taxes in installment. But you see, you're a very practical Chinese lady.
It's a very practical.
The most important thing, and you're
I
right.
like it.
It's like, like we could have gone like me, you and I, Derek, we are Irish and Italian. We are romantic. The energy, the beach, people you spend the most time with, and blah blah blah. And this is like, I can pay taxes in installment.
It's easy, very understandable, guys. If you're thinking about doing business in Hong Kong, seriously,
I like it too, by the way. I like to pay my taxes in installment because cash in a bank is more cash in the future. The cash is the king of the mountain. And if you need somebody that does financial statement and cash forecast, come to the Monx.
Yeah, so Monx being really helpful for us, I
So
really like was
I had one more time. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah,
Derek.
Yeah, as Stefano was saying, I think that's what exactly Monx has been helping us. That's we as entrepreneurs and see, business founders, we focus on growing the business and they take care of the dirty work, basically the tax, auditing tax, paperwork, company secretaries, all this stuff. Yeah.
Now let's not make it seem too much propaganda, and I really want to thank you guys because I really much believe that one key factor, and again, not to be the over romantic guy, but with age, now I'm a little bit older, I can tell you that being in an environment of forward thinkers, surrounding myself with positive, committed, hustler people, they are nice, they are generous, entrepreneurship wise, because entrepreneurship is what we're talking about. This is as important as having money, because the day that you wake up and you realize that you're broke, because of COVID, because of the situation, because of everything. And then one night you meet a Derek or a Daisy on a junk boat. You get drunk.
Remember that night.
Yeah, I remember that night. You talk about the future. You get again pumped up, and they wake up in the morning and you say, "I have no money. I'll probably restart my accounting firm from scratch."
Yeah, exactly.
Life is interesting.
We come from nature, we go back to nature. Doesn't matter, you know. Just
Correct.
start again.
Okay, guys, I really thank you very much. It's been an entertaining hour and 14 minutes. And thank you to my amazing team. Never stop thanking them for the hard work they are putting on this. We reached more than 500 people today. And love you and hope to see you back in Hong Kong on Monday or Tuesday or
Thank you,
Wednesday.
everyone. Let's make Hong Kong great again. As
I'll
Trump
see
would
you
say.
in our
Right, I'll catch you later. Take care.
long life to the Inland Revenue Department, and let's always pay taxes delaying it.
Here we go. All right, cool. I'm going to take my kid jiu-jitsu now, so I better run. I'll see you later.
Ciao. Ciao, guys. Bye.